Happy holidays, ladies, gentlemen, and persons in between. My name is Tim Snowborn, and today we're going to be talking about the Christmas spirit on a very special episode of Serious Issues. So, it's not my intention to use this episode to attack conservatives. I feel that that would not be in the Christmas spirit. This is supposed to be a time of togetherness and brotherhood and everyone getting along and being nice to each other. But I did have one question that I wanted to ask. There's something I don't understand. We all know the story of the Christmas Carol. Ebenezer Scrooge is this old, money-grubbing prick who doesn't care about other people's problems. And one day, right before Christmas, he gets a visit from his old business partners who are like, "Hey man, we've got a pretty rough afterlife because we were old, money-grubbing pricks who didn't care about other people's problems in life. And if you don't stop being an old money-grubbing prick who doesn't care about other people's problems, you're going to have a pretty warm afterlife yourself. Might want to think about using some of that money you've accumulated to help other people, because you can't take it with you." And then he's visited by three ghosts. The first ghost takes him back to his younger days. We see the formative events that made him into a money-grubbing prick who doesn't care about other people's problems. And then we come to the present and we see how his family and his employee live. And then they go to the future and we see what's going to happen to him if he continues to be a money-grubbing prick who doesn't care about other people's problems. And at the end of the story, he's a changed man. He suddenly cares about other people's problems and he uses some of his money to help other people. He gives a bunch of it to charity. He's more generous and empathetic and compassionate at the end. So my question to conservatives is, what is the takeaway from that story for you? What is the lesson you think we're all supposed to learn from that? Because it seems to me that in the Republican Party, and they obviously wouldn't have any power if it wasn't for the conservative base. So in the conservative ideology, it seems like the money-grubbing pricks who don't care about other people's problems, those are the heroes, are they not? Do you think that Scrooge was a better person at the beginning of that story? Do you think he learned the wrong lesson by the end? I just don't see how a conservative can read or watch a story like The Christmas Carol and then go home and be like, "Oh, these damn poor people are mooching off us hard-working folk, all expecting a handout, expecting something for nothing. Well, you ain't entitled to what I have earned there, coochies." I mean, I don't want to turn this into a capitalism versus socialism thing, but it seems to me that Scrooge is a pretty hardcore capitalist at the beginning of the story and kind of leans more towards socialism at the end. At the end, he actually cares about other people and wants to help the less fortunate, two things which are kind of demonized in the conservative ideology. Now, I'm sure the immediate defense will be that you guys don't object to helping people in need, you just don't think that it's the government's job. And I'm actually going to leave that alone for now. I'm going to put that aside because I want to do a whole video about that. I've been doing that series about American values, and one of the conservative values that I want to talk about is the whole thing about personal responsibility. I want to do multiple videos, I think, about the concept of personal responsibility and what that means to me and what it doesn't mean. So let's set that aside and talk about whether or not helping the less fortunate is really important to conservatives, because it seems to me that it isn't. I don't know if I've ever heard a conservative talk about how important it is to help people who are less fortunate than themselves. I'm not saying it's definitely never happened, I just cannot remember a time when I've ever heard a conservative say a thing like that. Every time I hear a conservative talk about poor people, it is consistently in very disparaging terms. How lazy and entitled they are, as if being lazy is the only possible reason a person could be poor. That's the only reason in the conservative mind. There's no other reason a person could be poor. There's no other reason a person could need a little help. It must be because they're lazy. That's the only reason. So when I hear conservatives talk about how they're not against helping the needy, it rings rather hollow because that's not what the rest of their rhetoric says. Again, compassion for the less fortunate seems to be openly frowned upon in the conservative ideology. And actually helping them, well, that's practically a sin. That's something socialists do. Well, socialists and Jesus. So again, I have to ask, What is the takeaway from the Christmas Carol for you? Do you agree that Scrooge is the villain at the beginning of that story and the hero at the end, or vice versa? If you think that Scrooge is a better person at the end of that story, why do you speak so passionately against the kind of compassion he showed? I look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for joining me. If this is your first time on my channel, I would love to have you subscribe and join me for future conversations, and check out my other videos for more. If you are a current subscriber, thank you again for joining me. I appreciate your continued support. I am going back home to Minnesota next week for the holidays. I will still be posting videos while I'm gone. Thanks again for watching. God bless us, everyone.